my friend, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. The July 28th edition of Monday Night Raw was the last and final Raw before the first ever two-night SummerSlam. Now, this week, of course, we still have NXT. I think we have an Evolve. And then we, of course, Friday Night SmackDown on Friday. And then we head into the first ever two-night SummerSlam. They changed WrestleMania to two nights a couple years ago. They're now doing it to the biggest event of the summer, WWE's second biggest pay-per-view or PLE of the year, SummerSlam, and now it's two nights. And what happened on Monday Night Raw that led to some more interesting things that could come to a head at SummerSlam? First, of course, we saw Raw kick off with the Hogan Memorial, the Hulk Hogan Memorial, and there's been a lot of mixed reactions about his passing online, but I think WWE did a fantastic job really remembering who Hulk Hogan was and the superstar he was and the impact he had on WWE, on every professional wrestler working with WWE, and just the whole entity of wrestling and being a superstar and being bigger and larger than life and being immortal. And then you heard from some wrestlers, getting my words out. I got it. And then, of course, the fans were not booing like they were the last time we saw Hulk Hogan live on WWE programming. They were cheering, they were chanting his name, remembering the immortal Hulk Hogan. He will live forever in the hearts and minds of the WWE universe, and I think it was a good job that WWE, they did a nice job with the memorial package, and now they're selling t-shirts, and all of the proceeds from those t-shirts will go to the family of Hulk Hogan. And so that's how Raw kicked off, and then you saw Uso and Heyman get into it. Paul Heyman's trying to sow the seeds of doubt in Jey Uso about Roman Reigns, and they've all been in this sort of jumble together, whether it's the bloodline, now they're feuding against each other. They know each other extremely, extremely well, and Paul Heyman's trying to sort of sow those doubts so that when Jey Uso comes crunch time, maybe he doesn't trust Roman, maybe he doesn't make that step or that move because he doesn't trust Roman, and that costs them potentially the match against a Braun Breaker and a Bronson Reed. And of course, Paul Heyman, mentioned the Jews. That's our boy, Paul Heyman. He's in the tribe. We love Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's the best to ever do it at his job. He is the best to ever do it at his job, and there's no disputing that. When Paul Heyman goes into Hall of Fame, it's going to be incredible how much praise he receives for the work that he has done. And the next sort of interesting thing, because we're going to see that tag team match at SummerSlam, we're going to see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. They also ended the show as well. It started off the show with the Hulk Hogan Memorial, and then you saw this little feud, this back and forth between Jey Uso and Paul Heyman, where Paul Heyman's trying to sow those doubts. He's trying to get any advantage he possibly can heading into this tag team match at SummerSlam, and then Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker beating up Jey Uso at the end of the show, and of course Roman Reigns makes the save. Roman Reigns gets a massive, huge pop, Stone Cold Steve Austin type style, comes down. It looks like Roman and Jey have sort of battled off both Bronson and Breaker, and they will stand tall, to end Monday Night Raw. But then out of nowhere, Braun Breaker just sneaks around the corner and absolutely demolishes Roman Reigns with a spear, and Jey Uso gets squished, and they take total advantage, and then Breaker ends the show by just spearing both of these cats through the barricade where Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker stand tall. Breaker talking about this is his show, this is his ring, those are his ropes, like everything. And then I think Bronson Reed stole and took off Roman Reigns' shoes just to say that they got these guys. There's nothing they can do to them. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso are effed. Now, if you go with the classic WWE formula, that means Roman Reigns and Jey Uso will win at WrestleMania, will win at SummerSlam, because in the most recent episode, right, Monday Night Raw, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed stood tall. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's factual. I don't know if this is going to be a clean fall to a finish. I think it's going to be a really, really, really good match. It could steal the show, but I do think they're going to give the win to Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, but I think this will continue on, especially when Seth Rollins comes back. Now, speaking of Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman has mentioned him a couple times, saying he's going to be out indefinitely. Now, based on my theory that I think the whole injury is a work, I think Seth Rollins will come back at SummerSlam at some point to try and cash in his Money in the Bank, or he will come back to help Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker beat Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. But I think that Seth Rollins hates CM Punk more than he likes Reed and Breaker. His hatred for Punk is way deeper than his love or his need to lead Breaker and Bronson Reed. So if there's a choice of where he's going to intervene, it's going to be in Gunther and Punk, and I believe that to be true. Now, Heyman has actually mentioned Rollins a couple times, saying he's out indefinitely, he's out for a very long time. I still don't know if that's legit. I don't know if it's a work or not. My theory is that Rollins will be returning at SummerSlam to try and cash in his Money in the Bank as one of the best Money in the Bank cash-ins ever, because he had one of the, if not the best Money in the Bank cash-ins at WrestleMania. I believe it was in San Francisco. Not sure which one it was, but it was one of the best heists of the century. And so that might happen. And so now you have that tag team match of Reed and Breaker versus Reigns and Uso. Speaking of CM Punk, speaking of Gunther, Gunther and CM Punk come out. I hope Gunther retires CM Punk at SummerSlam. I'm going to say this every time I'm on here. I cannot stand CM Punk. I think he's a fraud. I think he's a scam artist. He came back not to win championships. Now he has to win this championship. Now he needs to win this championship. Still claiming himself to be the best in the world. CM Punk is far from the best in the world. He can barely handle himself in the ring anymore. Yes, he's still good on the mic. Yes, he draws the best out of his opponents. I'll give him credit where credit is due. I just can't stand him because he's a fraud. And I hope Gunther chops and power bombs and clotheslines the shit out of CM Punk and makes him want to retire, just like he retired Goldberg and just like Gunther will retire John Cena. I hope that happens at SummerSlam. My prediction is that CM Punk will not win. Gunther will retain the World Heavyweight Championship, and we may see an injured Seth Rollins in that match as it comes to a close, trying to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. But I think ultimately Gunther will beat CM Punk. Not sure what's going to happen afterwards, but CM Punk will not be leaving SummerSlam with a World Heavyweight Championship around his waist. And then we go to one of these other feuds that is interesting, because we'll talk about John Cena and we'll talk about Cody Rhodes when it gets to that point in the week leading up to SummerSlam. What's going to happen when they come face to face on SmackDown? What's going to happen at their street fight? Is John Cena eventually, now is the time for him to turn babyface? Cody Rhodes will not be turning heel. It's not the time. He will not be turning heel. A big-time babyface who might be turning heel would be Sami Zayn, but it's not going to be Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes will not be turning heel. John Cena may turn babyface, which could lead into something special leading into the back half of his farewell tour. Speaking of turning heel, we have Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross wrestling at SummerSlam as well, and I just don't think Sami Zayn is going to turn heel. I don't think he will. But there is a possibility that him and Kross team up, and that's how Sami Zayn wins the big one. He wins the big one as a heel, potentially. I like the angle they're taking. It's, Kross is trying to get him to tell the truth. Is Sami Zayn as legit and as nice and as caring and as high value character as he says he is? Who knows? Will he use the steel pipe at SummerSlam? Will he cheat to win? Will he have to say Kross was telling the truth, or whatever the phrase was that Kross is obsessed with Sami Zayn saying? Sami Zayn is going after the big title. I think it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Again, I believe WrestleMania 42. But will that be Sami Zayn as a heel or a babyface? I think it needs to be as a babyface because the pop would be huge. I remember when Sami Zayn beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 40. That was massive. That was huge. We can get that sort of same type of reaction when he wins the big one at WrestleMania 42, so there's no reason to turn Sami Zayn heel. There's no reason to turn Cody Rhodes heel. Both are two of the, if not the best baby faces in the company. You throw Roman Reigns in there, you throw Jey Uso in there, now you have the four biggest baby faces in the company, maybe LA Knight, and you have those are the biggest baby faces in the company who get real baby face pop and sympathy and love and cheers, and you don't want to change that, especially the guys at the top like Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn, who really are loved by the fans. You don't want to throw them for a loop, not yet. You need something more to happen to really want to mess these guys up, to turn them heel so that the fans follow along with that story, because you have to replace them with big baby faces as well, and I don't think the company has those at this moment. So you're not going to see any big heel turns, but you might see John Cena go from heel to babyface at SummerSlam. That could be huge. CM Punk will not win the championship at SummerSlam. It's an interesting sort of little dynamic here between Cross and Sami Zayn, but I think Sami Zayn comes out on top, and then Cross gets elevated a little bit more as he continues to have matches on TV and on PLEs, and I think I'm still up in the air about whether or not Seth Rollins will return at SummerSlam, but I think he might, just based on the verbiage and the language that Paul Heyman is using to describe him being away indefinitely. I think it might be a work, because Seth Rollins has to prevent CM Punk from winning that championship. I hate CM Punk just as much as Seth Rollins does, and so I will literally, hope he does anything possible to prevent CM Punk from winning a World Heavyweight Championship again in WWE. But those are my thoughts and my reactions to the July 28th edition of Monday Night Raw. What do you think? Put the comments in down below. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers.